Hello, where have you been? It's been, I think, about 5 years since I've done a sit-down video on YouTube. No particular reason why I'm doing it, but my work hours have been cut this week, and I found myself with just a couple of hours where I can kind of do what I like, which is quite a rare thing. So I thought, let's check in with my old YouTube friends and see who's... Oh my God, that was my laptop just falling down. Good start. Some things never change, eh guys? Hopefully that wasn't a bad omen. I've got hair in my mouth. You can tell it's been a while. I haven't really set up the space up nice. Look at that tissue box looking horrible in the background. That's better. My dirty Invisalign is over there as well. Sorry if it was a bit of a jump scare. Yes, it has been 5 years. Yes, I have aged about 10 years. That is the reality of it. At the moment, I'm trying to resist the pressures of societal beauty standards, and I'm yet to do the Botox and filler stuff, but God, I'm probably a right good candidate for it, let's be honest. So yeah, I just thought I'd check in with you guys and see how many of you are still here and give you a quick roundup of things that might have changed since we last caught up. That's Bluebell, I don't know if you met Bluebell. We adopted her in 2020 when we were still back in our first home together, which was our little maisonette. She was 8 months old when we adopted her from a man in Leeds who was unfortunately very unwell. It was a very sad day all round really, but we were happy to be able to give her a safe home, and she has become the absolute love of our lives, and we can't imagine life without her. She's having a little drink now. Last time I was on here, I was probably still doing music-y stuff, wasn't I? And some of you probably found me through band interviews and creative people type interviews. I think like a lot of people, lockdown gave me a lot of time to do an audit of my life and assess what things were working and what wasn't working, what things were making me happy, what things were making me miserable, and trying to find solutions for all those things. And ultimately I realised that that industry and the culture within the industry was just not a good fit for me, and as long as I stayed in it while it was functioning in this way, I was never going to be happy, and I was never going to sleep well, and I was never going to feel good about myself. Maybe that's something I can talk in more detail about if it's of interest, but yeah, I wanted to find a job that kind of made my nervous system chill out a bit. I didn't want to feel on edge all the time or questioning my self-worth or feeling like I've got to fight for myself the whole time. So today I am working half the week at a doggy daycare, which I can walk to from the house that we live in now, and the other half I do PR for a classic car auction house. A random mix, I know, but it means that half the week I'm outdoors, getting fresh air, cuddling 20 plus dogs each day that I work there. And it's just really good for the soul. There's no stress when I get home. I can completely switch off. It's a tough job in the winter, it really is, but in summer it's an absolute joy. And then with the other job, because it's an industry that's sort of out of my comfort zone, it's that good amount of challenge. It's I have to use my business brain a bit more and my creative brain a bit more to deal with other people, liaise with journalists, liaise with celebrity agents and did I say journalists, PRs, all sorts of people, and I have to come up with stories that I then pitch to newspapers. So it uses a different part of my brain, but again, because I work remotely, that is kind of possible to work around with my health issues, which are still, as you can imagine, ongoing. The health stuff probably requires a whole video in itself. I guess one significant thing that's happened since I last saw you guys, which would probably be like, what a surprise, another one. But I did get an ADHD diagnosis, and mine came about in a weird way. I was really struggling with my memory, to the point that people in my life were noticing it. I just brought that up with my GP, and then the GP at the time, I think it was the man at the time actually, asked a lot of other questions. And because I've got the EDS diagnosis, it came up that it could potentially be ADHD, because they're now finding a link that people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome can quite often be neurodivergent. So anyway, because we all know what waiting lists are like on the NHS and all that sort of stuff, I did go private with that, and I ended up getting a combined ADHD diagnosis, and she did point out that I had various autistic traits as well. Now, I didn't go down the route of getting an assessment for autism as well, because I feel like I am equipped now with enough knowledge about myself that I know what my personal challenges are, shall I say, and the accommodations I need, and I don't actually need to get that other diagnosis. Knowing that I probably have it is enough for me to work out some stuff and just stop beating myself up about why I found certain things hard in my life, why I've found certain things hard to execute, even though I know I'm capable of doing it. I've not been able to put these certain things into practice, why I get so sensitive and emotional about certain things. Anyway, it's made sense of a lot of stuff, and again, that's probably another video that could be made if I do decide to come back to YouTube. I don't know, this might just be a one-off. Hello! Wish you could see Bluebell, she's just down here, she's very sweet. Maybe I'll lower it so you can see her. Well, it didn't make a blinded bit of difference, did it? That's worse. Very haphazard videos, and now I'm not in it. That's better. So yeah, at the end of 2021, we moved into this house, which you won't have seen on YouTube at all. It's a 1970s doer-upper. We had a long, stressful route to buying it in the end. Ended up missing that stamp duty holiday, which would have saved us lots of money. And it's ended up being one of those houses that, despite getting a survey and doing all the things you're meant to do to be sensible, we've uncovered problem after problem. We had a massive leak, all sorts of things. So the budget we had that we thought we'd be able to renovate the whole house with was obliterated just doing the upstairs bedrooms and fixing some issues and doing boring stuff like plumbing and electrics. So the big sort of extension stuff we plan to do downstairs is now never going to happen, because it's just would be a bad financial decision for us. So what we're doing now is kind of just rejigging the space downstairs and making it work for us. So moving things around rather than adding extra square meters. Realistically, it's just me, Si, and little Bluey here. We don't need an extension to make this house workable. We have bedrooms for if we need to move in parents, which, you know, my dad turns 80 this year, so we're in that era where obligations are changing, your roles are changing, you're getting different sorts of worries and anxieties, lots of kind of very adult things to deal with. But anyway, if and when we need to move parents in, we have the space for that. But we are going to be a child-free couple. Again, that's another thing perhaps you'd like to hear more about. We don't need a massive, massive house. So it's not a big deal. The house isn't what we thought it would be, but we can definitely make it work, and we can still love it, and we still just feel grateful every day that we have it, because it's on a lovely, peaceful road. I can walk to work, I can walk to the co-op, and it's a short drive for Si to work, so it ticks a lot of boxes, and it's been a happy home for us so far. Actually, I'm going to wrap it up here, because what's the point in making this video if I find out none of you are actually going to see it, or I'm not going to hear from any of you. I've been documenting our home renos on my home account on Instagram, which is @HomeWithEgg. if you want to come over there and see that stuff there. Obviously, my main Instagram is still at Sophie Eggleton, and I'm on TikTok as well. I don't know what my TikTok is, I'll put it somewhere. Is it worthwhile coming back here still? Will any of you want to see content here? I don't know whether my sort of content is trendy on YouTube, whether long form chatty is not the way anymore. Who knows? But I just wanted to check in, say hi, because there's a few of you that used to pop in frequently that I used to talk to in the comments, and I do think of you guys and wonder how you're getting on. So it'd be nice to hear where your lives have gone, how you're doing, and whether there's anything helpful that I can talk about on here. Because if I have another weird Friday where I have a few hours to record content, maybe I can do it just on a blues in a box on an ad hoc basis. So let me know. Anyway, nice catching up. That was a horrible wave. Bye.